different Americas. This America was made for them and by them, and anybody who does what they do is looked at as monsters at the end of
All right, all right. So very, very interesting perspectives from a totally different angle, and Dave kind of alluded to it. If the roles are reversed, would the people who are quote unquote standing on their respective positions currently, would they actually truly on an intellectual and emotional level feel the exact same way? Um, Dave, then True, and then the other fellows.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's very simple. Um, we have a problem in this country when it comes to sensationalism over logic and prioritization. That is why, for the past 62 years, our communities look like absolute hot trash truck juice warmed over and backed up with a nice side of hamster vomit. There is absolutely very few places that we would want to live that are densely populated in that way. And this is coming from somebody who went to the documented worst high school in America. Our high school was so bad. If you've ever seen the movie Lean on Me, they brought in the guy that Morgan Freeman played, Joe Clark, and he came, sat down, and said, I can't do nothing for y'all but tell y'all keep on keeping on. We were the first school in the country to have metal detectors on every single door. I remember Jamaicans walking in with machetes and all kinds of crazy mess. Like every day was in fear of your life. When my aunt asked me what my highest accomplishment was, even though I had, straight A's and I got into the school I wanted to get into, I told her straight up and down, my favorite, the best thing I did was survive. So I'm not coming from this stuff just doesn't happen all day. But the truth of the matter is, when these things happen and it's not a little white boy, nobody bats an eye. It's like, oh, damn, that's a shame. Moving on, just a couple of airbrush t-shirts and everybody goes home. Now everybody is just so up in arms. And it's just like, as long as the media tells you who to be up in arms about, then you up in arms about it and then you'll forget about it. When the last time you talked about Tamir Rice? When the last time you talked about Sandra Bland? Why is it we're not talking about the fact that we don't have a level of accountability and responsibility when it comes to checking this nonsense? The other part of that is, and I'm not a black belt, but I've been doing martial arts for 6 years, and the first thing I was told is the biggest weapon you have is your 2 feet. If you can get out, get the hell out. Because after a while, like I put together a combination, and I felt myself, and I stopped, and I went like this. And my sensei said, Dave, are you doing? And I said, what do you mean? He was like, why are you posing? This ain't no movie. If you lay somebody out, you get out of there. Now, when it comes to Carmelo Anthony and whether or not he should have gone, not gone, it was one stab, one time. First of all, any stab where somebody's not getting up ever is one stab too much. Secondly, for me, I don't understand how we're acting like if you put your hand in a bag and say, if you touch me, see what happens. Where I come from, and according to a whole lot of people's interpretation of the law, that's a threat. Then, because the situation is a weapon that's folded, you got to unfold that bad boy. So, okay, you're thinking about it, even if it is an escalation. I'm not going to call it premeditation, but it's more forethought than, let's say, like the third act of West Side Story when old boy runs into the knife. Like at some point, we got to start calling balls and strikes here and just say, you know what? He made a real stupid ass mistake. Stupid. Period. Point blank. And then going back to my high school situation, our rival high school was where Mumia Obsidian Ali went to school. It's Germantown. We knew better as King students to not go anywhere near where a whole bunch of Germantown students were congregating, because that could mean trouble. Doesn't mean that you couldn't whoop some ass. It just means that if you don't want that headache, why would you bother? And here's a newsflash for folks who have never lived in Texas. There's an old saying: if you don't like the weather, wait a minute. We used to monsoon rains. We used to hailstorms to the point where you can go get a car for 50% off because of a hail sale. We know that happened. So, he was just trying to seek refuge from the rain. He's a 17-year-old boy. It's rain. He wasn't going to melt. Like, there's no justification for that little boy to be there. And I don't really give a rat's ass whether he was white, black, or one-eyed, one-horn, flying purple people eater. The reason that they got him is the whole he basically told him to F around and find out. And yeah, I agree. Don't start no ish, won't be no ish. However, that works in theory. In practice and in real time, you are only reduced to the level of your training. So I got to ask, who's training this boy? Because notice the stepdaddy was in the back every time they have a press conference and the mama's just blubbering all over the place. Like, when do we start looking at the situation and saying, yeah, this is beyond messed up. Do I think it was harsh? Yeah, but I also think it was Texas. And we can say, well, you know, equality and da 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 da. But I'm the son, brother, and nephew of cops, and anytime a cop pulls me over, I'm still shitting bricks because we know what can happen. Did I tell my wife I love her? Did I hug my kids? Did I reassure them? Am I up on my insurance? Like, all of those things fly through my mind, and I am a relative of blue people. So I raised my children for the world in which actually exists, not the world in which we wish existed. And where was the common sense for somebody, maybe his daddy, his stepdaddy, some man with balls, not somebody that has a lisp in his voice and talks like this and says, oh, this is a travesty and these things just have to not happen. And where was the testosterone to teach this young man an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure? Because when we're talking about, well, you know, the dead kid shouldn't have done this, that, and the third. Well, you know what? I would love to be able to lecture the dead kid on what he should and shouldn't have done. Unfortunately, he's dead. But the kid who was alive, who had 15 chances to get up out of there, call for help, yell for help, whatever the case may be. And if you can't get out there, then listen, as a person who practices martial arts myself, we got these. There's no need to break out the nunchucks, the bow staff, the throwing stars, or a side blade. Like, what happened to hands? I done got my ass whipped many a day, and I done handed out plenty of ass whippings. And as a person who used to manage Mark Henry, I can tell you, you're going to need a lot more than a knife to get through to his skin. That man is a mutant, no cap. But when did we have to resort to the pussification of our boys where they feel like they got to grab a weapon before they just rock somebody's jaw? Because I was taught, and maybe it's because I'm, you know, I had a father who was an actual man. You find the biggest one who talks the most shit, and you try to beat the brakes off of them. The rest of them will automatically scatter because they don't expect you to go feral. I have bitten a boy's ear off in the 3rd grade. I beat another kid down with a rock. That's how I got down. Not proud of it, but everybody lived. And you know what? They reattached that boy's ear. I saw him at my high school reunion a couple of years ago. He's just fine. We laugh about it now.
Okay, Mike Tyson. We're gonna get to that. We're gonna get to that,
it
bro.
sets a precedent. And until such time as we're having the actual conversation, if you had a daddy that punched you square in your chest and teach you how to hold your hands, you wouldn't need to. You better not, and if you and you better not touch me, I'm gonna get. Nah.
Man.
Where I come from, you use your hands first. Period, point blank.
I'm gonna say this. There's a particular comment. Tariq Cook writes, "Look at how many dudes locked up or